Welcome to today's episode of Tech Talk, where we delve into the world of infrastructure as code and cloud management. I'm really excited about today's topic, the Azure RM Terraform Provider. Whether you're an experienced developer or just dipping your toes into cloud technology, there's something here for everyone. So, have you ever found yourself grappling with managing resources on Azure? Well, let me introduce you to a tool that can simplify that process, the Azure RM Terraform Provider. With this provider, you can harness Terraform to manage your Azure resources more efficiently under the Azure Resource Manager. Now, let's kick off with an intriguing fact. The Azure RM provider recommends using version 4.0 with the latest version of Terraform Core. And for the listeners who might not be familiar, Terraform is an open-source tool that allows you to define infrastructure as code. Pretty neat, right? Imagine this. You're working on a project and need to set up a virtual network. With just a few lines of Terraform code, you can easily create and configure resources in Azure instead of wrestling with the Azure portal. This saves you time and actually minimizes human error. How cool is that? Let's break it down a bit. When you start using the Azure RM provider, you begin by specifying which version of the provider you want to use in your configuration. For example, you'd include something like Terraform required providers, azurerm equals source equals hashicorp/azurerm, version equals 3.1. This simple snippet ensures that you're using a stable version of the provider. And what's great is that the Azure RM provider supports multiple authentication methods. You can authenticate through the Azure CLI, a managed identity, or even a service principal. Each method offers different levels of access and security, allowing you to choose the one that best fits your project. But what's the magic of Terraform in Azure? Well, picture this. You want to create a resource group to organize your Azure resources. You would define it in your code like so. Resource azurerm resource group example. Name equals example resources, location equals West Europe. Just like that, you set up a resource group called example-resources. It's a one-stop shop for managing related resources in your project. And if you're looking to build on that foundation, creating a virtual network within your resource group is just as straightforward. Resource azurerm virtual network example, name equals example-network, resource group name equals azurerm resource group.example.name, location equals azurerm resource group.example.location, address space equals 10.0. Isn't it amazing how you can bring your infrastructure to life with just a handful of code? Before we wrap up, I want to highlight that there's a whole community around the Azure RM provider. So if you're interested in contributing or want more detailed guidance on development, there are resources available in their developer documentation. It's an excellent way to get involved and learn from others. As we close today's episode, let's think about this. How would your workflow change if you adopted infrastructure as code practices with a tool like Terraform in Azure? It's definitely worth pondering. Thank you for tuning in to Tech Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with a friend or colleague looking to streamline their cloud management. Until next time, keep exploring and innovating.